But first, Naperville's Indian American and Chinese American populations have grown rapidly over the past few years. Mayor George Pradle saw a need for the city to reach out to those new residents. He recently appointed Bill Liu as chairman of outreach for the Chinese community and Krishna Bansal for the Indian American outreach. I sat down with both of the new appointees as well as Mayor Pradle to discuss the new positions and what they mean for the city's growing minority population. Mayor George Pradle is proud that Naperville is a place where many different cultures want to call home.
We have a lot of Asian people here, and we have lots of people from India and from China and other countries, and they come here because, first of all, it's a safe community, and the schools are excellent. So it draws the people to come from other countries to make sure that their children have the quality of life that they're looking for.
That constant draw of new residents translates into a city whose demographics reflect a growing diversity. In response last month, the mayor and city council formally announced the appointments of 2 new volunteer positions as part of a pilot program to help bridge the gap between the city and different cultures, beginning with the Chinese American and Indian American populations here in Naperville.
What they're doing is they're making sure that they reach out to the Indian people and the Chinese and give them education. Education about all about the city and all about the ways that it works and how people can really enjoy the life that they live right here in Naperville.
Resident Bill Liu was chosen as the chairman of community outreach for the Chinese community. And for the Indian American outreach, Krishna Bansal was chosen. Fostering community and intercultural engagement throughout the city is the first order of business Mayor Pradle hopes these positions will accomplish.
We want to reach out to them and say, you know what, we need to explain to you what it's all about in this city and make you part of it.
Liu said he is honored to be the one bridging the gap between Naperville's Chinese Americans and the city, but he says the work that needs to be done is much bigger than him.
The Asian community has long been known as a very silent model community. People just like, I do my job, earn my wage, pay my tax, but don't make any wave. It's this double-edged sword. On one side, I can speak for you, but on the other side, the whole community need to be more involved.
Cultural education is also the first step in Bansal's process.
Whether they're Indian Americans or Chinese Americans, they're first-generation people, first-generation immigrants. For them, they don't understand the system here, and there's no mechanism, there's no way for them to get educated. And it's not they don't want to get connected. It's not that they don't want to come and volunteer. The reason is there is no one who's really bringing them in.
Naperville is home to many different cultural events throughout the year. The Shiling Association, where Liu is a board member, puts on a lantern festival each year to publicly celebrate and share their culture. Also, local group Simply Vedic sponsors events showcasing Indian culture, like the Festival of Colors along the Riverwalk in the spring, and their annual Indian Cultural Festival each fall.
We don't want to don't want to limit just for the Indian community. We want to reach out everybody, community at large, because Indians, more or less, they are a little bit familiar of this kind of culture because that's their background, this heritage. We want to bring out more for other people who don't know, who are not familiar with this kind of culture.
And back in March, City Hall reached out to the Chinese community by creating a landing page on the city's website in their native language. The page provides answers to many questions in Chinese characters and can be found on Chinese search engines.
When I talked to Mayor Pradle, I said that there is such a huge, I won't say huge, a large Chinese community out there. Why don't we show some effort and show the Chinese community some hospitality by put on a Chinese website?
The people can find what they need. It's easier to locate the service that they need. And they have a more confidence to go to the website.
Still, Bonsall and Liu know there's work left to be done.
Even though that we think that we are very diversified here in Naperville, but compared to the larger metropolitan areas, still Naperville is still relatively uniform.
What we see is like there is a segregation always, that Indian American community is skeptical about, hey, if I go and meet and do something, is that socially acceptable? And same thing happens. And in fact, I have talked to a lot of people in our local community here, and they're like, if we go and talk to Indian Americans, and if our gestures will be taken right, are we doing right thing? Is it? So what this results in is that they never come together. Just, it's not that they don't want to, it's just a matter of like we don't have education.
The Naperville school districts have also taken notice of the changing demographics of the city and are working to adapt their practices. Superintendent Dan Bridges spoke about growing student diversity in his 2013 State of the District address.
This is cause for celebration as our school community becomes more diverse to represent the diversity within our community. It also requires us to commit to building an inclusive environment and to review what it is we do in our classrooms to ensure we're being culturally responsive to our entire learning community.
Even though Bonsall and Liu have only been working for about a month, they already have events planned aimed at bringing together and educating residents on their respective cultures.
So first event we are planning is to bring in all these professionals and business people to have a lunch with Mayor. It'll give a good sense to them. It'll be a good thing. Mayor will also get a good feel, and it'll drive a lot more new business.
We'll have a fireside chat with the superintendent of 203 or 204, and invite the Chinese, the Asian community, because the Asians generally tend to have a slightly different perspective about how school, how their kids' daily activity should be.
Based on the success of the pilot program, the mayor says he may appoint more chairs of community outreach in other groups around the city.
An understanding, a love for their culture will make our city a great city to live in.
I'm Whitney Goodbread for Naperville News Extra.